Happy Halloween, Groaners.
Hello once more, dear Groaners. You join us for two things today. Number one, it is Halloween. Well, almost, at the time we're recording this episode. So we've made this another Halloween special. Number two, as of this coming Sunday, after this recording, the Groan Zone will be officially a year old. We've been on a hell of a journey so far, Groaners, and you've been along with us, but we are not stopping now. Happy birthday to us at the Groan Zone, or Hallowday, or Birthoween to us. Let's make those a thing, shall we? I want to see next Halloween people sending in Hallowday or Birthoween cards via the show email. Come on, send us greetings cards next year for our second birthday, Groaners. But now, before I get all sentimental and shed a tear, let's get on with the pod and let's get spooky too. What you got coming your way? You've got another 3-piece from me. The Audience Groans are a little bit special this week. Oh, unlucky. The Zero of the week. And of course, you, my dear Groaners, one of you gets your Audience Groan read out. And I've just said that twice. There's your first mistake of the episode. Congratulations, me. Moving on, quickly. Our games this week. Well, once again, it's yes or BS. But because it's Halloween, I've blown the cobwebs off of a classic game from the early days of the Groan Zone, and Double Down Dummies has returned. Both games are going to have a Halloween flavour to close off the spooky season here at Groan Zone HQ. But onwards to groaniness. We begin with, of course, my groans. Number 1. So, YouTube has decided to ban ad blockers. I feel this is a stupid move, as not all adverts are relevant to me. And what about those gambling ones, which I feel shouldn't be on at all? I get people need to make money, but at the same time, we shouldn't be forced to pay a premium to remove ads. Absolutely shocking. Number 2. Ungrateful trick-or-treaters. And what I mean by this is, when you give them sweets, and instead they ask for money. I'm sorry, but it's candy, nuts, fruit, or nothing. Also, if you're clearly 20-something plus and come to my door on Halloween trick-or-treating, you can jog on and go to a party. You're too old. Groan number 3. When shops try to cash in on Halloween and make cheap tat such as Halloween crackers. Come on. Crackers are for Christmas, not bloomin' Halloween. We've even got them for Valentine's Day. No one asked for Valentine's Day or Halloween crackers. What? But breathe, mystery, breathe. That's my Hallow Groans sent to the dungeon just in time for Halloween. So how about now we say hi to an old friend. Those that have been with us for a long time on the Groan Zone will have heard of this game. Double Down Dummies. If you haven't heard of this, don't worry. This is where I tell you a Darwin Award story about the crazy way someone died or almost died doing something extremely stupid. But I only tell you most of the story. You, my dear Groan crew, or one of you, must guess the right outcome out of 3 choices. With that being said, let's play Double Down Dummies. The title: Halloween Hot Dog Hijinks. Where did this happen? Chicago. When? Halloween 2017. A 19-year-old guy by the name of Terrion Pouncey held a hot dog vendor at gunpoint, demanding his wallet and his hard-earned cash. His timing was pretty piss poor for the attempted robbery, as the vendor was in the middle of holding a hot pan of grease. Now, how did this lead to Pouncey's Darwin Award? Was it option A? The vendor chucked the hot grease at Pouncey when he fired his gun, and the resultant fire blew up in Pouncey's face, giving him life-altering scars. Option B. In the confusion, as a scuffle ensued when the vendor jumped on Pouncey, the gun went off, shooting at Pouncy's own hot dog, causing him to hit the ground in agony. Or option C, the vendor, thinking quickly, hit Pouncy on the hand with the scalding hot pan, whereby the gun dropped to the ground. In poetic justice, the vendor picked up the gun and shot him twice, point blank, in the chest. Go Groaners, what do you think is the right outcome? Okay, got answers coming in for A there. Oh, some for B, and some for C. That's fairly evenly spaced out, that, Groaners. You'll find out which is the right outcome later on in the show. And now we go from games to creepy. And what better time for a creepy story than Halloween? Welcome to Creepy Corner. Now, as an added bonus, I managed to twist our lovely admin Nicole's arm to read out this week's story for those listening along live after the recording. What I mean by that is, if you're listening live, you're going to hear me. Sorry, those listening after it's recorded, you'll hear admin Nicole. Sorry, I know you're going to be stuck with me, Groaners, those that play along live. I'm sorry. Moving on, this week's story is called A Slice of Change.
The people of Pikeville were very protective of their town and everything it stood for. The healthiest place to live is what it was known for. Everything in this town was healthy, especially the food. Sugar and anything bad for you was banned. The people exercised in groups daily and they all enjoyed the exact same meals at the exact same time. It was always the same old thing. Same old routine, but they wouldn't have it any other way. Well, almost everyone anyway. Joe was just about to turn 10, and he hated his town. His birthday was on Halloween, and you would think he would be happy about that. Whilst the town did decorate for the holiday, the treats they gave out were not to Joe's liking. The other children had come to accept it, but Joe was getting tired of dressing up, just to be given protein bars and dental floss in place of candy. Not to mention that the rare and best things the kids were able to get was a brand new toothbrush. Joe had enough, and this year he was making a stand. Under his bed he had hidden what appeared to be a box of high-fiber granola. In reality, his friend from the next town over was able to get him a box of cake mix. He then hid it in a granola box and threw it over the gate, ready for Joe to pick up. A highly elaborate plan, if there ever was one. The town was none the wiser, and on this night, right before his birthday, he was getting his wish. His parents were out for the night, so as soon as they left, he made his cake. Unfortunately for him, the icing was a bright pink, but at this point he wasn't very picky on that. It was a good thing, because they had eggs and oil around too. Cake was baked and iced, and just as he was about to light his candles, he turned around, and his parents saw the whole thing. Joe was in big trouble, as his parents reminded him that such things were banned, and he could have asked if he wanted a cake. They could have easily gotten him a carob cake from the bakery with extra vegetables. The cake Joe made was tossed in the trash outside, and that was the last of it. Or so they thought. That night the clouds gathered up in the sky, and something ominous filled the air. The lightning struck not once, but twice. As the clock struck 12, everyone in town was strangely awoken, and there, sat on every dining table, was a slice of cake. A note was left by each slice, written in pink icing, to say,
Eat me.
Everyone threw the slice in the bin. The lightning struck a third time, this time at the bandstand at the center of town, forcing everyone to investigate. The whole town in one place, and in the bandstand stood a cake with an ominous glare and an eerie smile. The cake gave them a warning.
Eat the slice, or lose it all.
One man stepped forward to retaliate, but in seconds he was gone, as the devilish cake bared its chocolate fangs. Yet somehow even that was not enough. The people refused, and so the cake took over. Their eyes now pink, and their town no longer the healthy paradise it once was. All except for Joe, the boy who made the monster. Now stuck living in hiding, living off the healthy food the town has now thrown away, trying for as long as he can to find a way to fix what he has done. For all he can do now is watch everyone he once loved, his whole town, getting lazy and fatter, vowing to fix his mistake, as the cake he once created now rules over them all. If only the town wasn't stuck in their own ways. A simple slice of cake wouldn't have done any harm. It would have solved all their problems. Now they must live with their decisions as they try to fight, free their minds from this monster of sugar. They're forced to live their own worst nightmares as their town crumbles. If only they had just taken a cheat day and ate the cake.
Now, how creepy was that, Groaners? I mean, I love sugar as much as the next guy, but if I had a cake in front of me telling me, eat me or die, I'd eat the cake. We'll have more from Creepy Corner next week. Moving on, how about those audience groans? But these were a bit strange this week, Groaners. Just before the podcast, there was a knock at the door. Carefully, I opened the door, and there stood the following monsters: Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, a mummy, a werewolf, and a very, very angry witch. I gulped really hard and asked them what did they want. So I wasn't eaten. I offered to vent their groans because they wanted a groan. Of course, it's Halloween. They're allowed too. Dracula groaned about how he is sick of fake blood and prefers his blood veiny fresh, right from the source. Looking straight at me, I covered my neck with a very thick scarf. Frankenstein's monster, in a series of mutters and groans, seemed to be saying he hates it when his father tightens his bolts too tight. Can't sympathise with that one, Frankenstein. Sorry. The werewolf coughed violently and looked at me and simply growled, "Hairballs." The mummy, using ancient hieroglyphics, stated they didn't like bandage shortages, which means they are stuck wrapping themselves in tissue or modern day elastoplasts. I've only tried wrapping myself in tissue once. It didn't go very well at Halloween, so I can sympathise with the mummy on this one. And lastly, the angry witch cackled the loudest cackle I've ever heard, like a banshee, and said she hates it when her potions fail or they run out of Eye of Newt in the store. Now, I don't know what store she's been shopping at, but I've never seen Eye of Newt on the shelves. I walked back into my house and looked over my shoulder before closing the door, and they'd all gone. Some very groany monster groans there. However, before we continue, let us refresh your head on how you can send in your groans, because they're groaning verbally. You can, of course, if you know me, you can as well. You can send us your feedback, your suggestions for the show, your Zero or Hero of the Week nominations, or your O1 lucky stories. These ways are as follows. You can do it via Facebook Messenger by finding me under Mr. E. Groaner. If you don't know by now, it's Mr. with an E on the end of Mr. Via Discord under the Groan Zone Podcast. Via an email off to the groanzonepod@gmail.com. Or lastly via Facebook groups under the Groan Zone Podcast. Are you feeling the need for more games, Groaners? Let's move on to Yes or BS Halloween Part 2. Part 1 was last week. Here we go. Round 1. The White Halloween Monster Round. Option A. In 1963, the White House was decorated for Halloween for the first time. Option B. The 1962 song, Monster Mash, was banned by the BBC in the UK because it was deemed to be too morbid. And option C. Disney's 1993 movie, Hocus Pocus, was originally going to be called Halloween House. Go Groaners! Those playing along live, give me them. Give me your answers. Those playing along after the fact, press pause, send them in after. What we got here then? We have everyone going for option C. Okay, that's decisive. Any more? Well, we've had one, just one, for A. Alright, moving on. Round number 2. The Kids Party Trick Round. Option A. Around 64% of parents in America have admitted to stealing some of their kids' Halloween sweets. Option B. All Hallowtide was the name of a Halloween party boat that sank in Florida in the 1990s. Option C. The term trick-or-treating was first used in 1927. Go Groaners! Those answers. Give me them. Oh, a couple for B there. Any more? Oh, and some C's as well. And none for A. Okay. Moving on. Round 3. The Irish Jack Pumpkin Round. Option A. The most jack-o'-lanterns on display at any one time was 30,581 on the 19th October 2013 in Keene, New Hampshire. Option B. The heaviest jack-o'-lantern in the world was carved from a massive pumpkin weighing 3,578 pounds, that is 1,622 kilograms. And option C. The Irish preferred to use swede instead of pumpkin as it still had the same orange colour when carved and was cheaper to buy. Go Groaners, send those answers. Playing along after the fact, press pause, have a think, answer. Oh, all B's coming in. Okay, alright, that's decisive. Oh, we had a few rounds where Groaners have gone straight in here. Going in deep this Halloween. Did you score anything? You'll find out later on in the show. But now, let's have our random Halloween fact for this week's episode. At the end of a certain Friday the 13th film, Jason Voorhees was defeated and trapped at the bottom of Camp Crystal Lake's lake. However, in Crystal Lake, Minnesota, there is a real-life statue of him chained and trapped at the bottom of the lake for experienced divers to find. Now, if I was diving, the last thing I'd want to see would be the nice friendly face of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. I'd probably wet me wetsuit. Okay, moving on from that wonderful fact which Adam and Nicole found, we're going to move on to Oh Unlucky. Now, this is just, well, definitely worthy of Oh Unlucky as well as icky. Sorry in advance. A woman had bought a 2-unit property in San Francisco and decided to rent one of them out as an Airbnb whilst living in the other end of the property. She ended up homeless though, and £250,000 in debt while she was pregnant after an Airbnb guest flooded her home with the toilet clogged with human poo and baby wipes. They also damaged the valve that manages water flow from the tank to the bowl, which in turns created a perfect storm. She awoke to waterfalls of poo water streaming into her home after the leak went unnoticed overnight. Not to mention, the guest checked out early before everything was noticed. Sneaky. And then, to further cap it all off, Airbnb wouldn't compensate her, I smell a slight zero of the week here, Groaners, until she got the damage fixed. I mean, holy plop! No pun intended. I wouldn't want to be in her situation. No chance. Unlucky indeed. But, just to say, Airbnb did step up and have said they'll be in contact to offer compensation. That's actually nice of them. But let's move along there before I start retching, shall we? Before zero of the week, we'll give you the game answers, Groaners. Let's find out the most important thing. Who got points and who didn't? Double down dummies. If you picked option B, you get a point. To remind you, option B was, in the confusion, a scuffle ensued when the vendor jumped on Pouncy. I just love that name, Pouncy. The gun went off, shooting at Pouncy's own hot dog, causing him to hit the ground in agony. Hot dog meaning his trouser snake, shall we put it that way. He was caught by the police, he was rushed to the hospital, so whilst he is still alive, there is a good chance he won't ever be able to have kids. Owie! And that there is poetic justice. Don't try and steal things that don't belong to you. And now we have the yes or BS answers, Groaners. Here we go. Bit of a refresher as we go. Round 1, the White Halloween Monster Round. If you put option A, that was actually false. The White House was decorated for the first time in 1958. The then president's wife, Mamie, I think that's how you pronounce it, Eisenhower, decorated the dining room and foyer with jack-o'-lanterns, flower arrangements in Halloween, twinkle lights, again in Halloween, owls, black cats, goblins, and witch heads. Okay, not witches, witch heads. Okay, bit creepy there. Number 2, or should I say option B, you picked this one. The 1962 song Monster Mash was banned by the BBC in the UK because it was too morbid. That's actually true. However, when it was re-released in 1973, the Halloween favourite became a graveyard smash hit. If you picked option C, Disney's 1993 movie Hocus Pocus was originally going to be called Halloween House. This is actually true, because it was meant to be scary rather than funny. I don't know why, but Hocus Pocus clearly became a phenomenon and is still one of the most successful Halloween films to date. And I know some groaners out there went straight for C as well. You get points. Round 2, the kids party trick round. If you picked option A, around 64% of parents in America have admitted to stealing some of their kids' Halloween sweets. False. The number's actually much higher at over 86%. You greedy parents. You should be ashamed. Your kids trick-or-treated hard for that candy. Go get your own. Option B. All Hallowtide was the name of a Halloween party boat that sank in Florida in the 1990s. This is 100% false. It's actually a series of Christian holidays that start after Halloween, meant to remember the dead, such as loved ones, saints, and martyrs. Option C. The term trick-or-treating was first used in 1927. This is actually true as well. It was coined by the Alberta newspaper known as the Blackie Herald. 1927. I thought it was longer than that myself. Last round, round number 3. The Irish Jack Pumpkin round. If you went for option A, the most jack-o'-lanterns on display at any one time was 30,581 on 19th of October 2013 in Keene, New Hampshire. That's actually true. If you picked option B, the heaviest jack-o'-lantern in the world was carved from a massive pumpkin weighing 3,578 pounds, that is 1,622 kilograms, you're wrong. That's false. It actually weighed in at 2,684 pounds. And last one, option C, the Irish prefer to use swede instead of pumpkin, as it still had the same orange colour when carved and was cheaper to buy. This is actually false. They actually preferred carving turnips instead of pumpkins. I don't know why turnips. No idea why. Moving on, we have the zero of the week. And oh boy, have we got a pillock for you this week, groaners. A 66-year-old man in North Olmsted, Ohio, thought it'd be a brilliant idea to dress in a Halloween mask, wield a plastic knife. However, there's a few problems with his well thought out fun idea. Number 1, he had his 6-year-old grandson with him. Number 2, it wasn't October, it wasn't even Halloween, it was September when he decided to do this. And number 3, he thought it would be even more fun to frighten and or threaten a woman, just to cap it off, you know. Needless to say, when the police arrived, they didn't see the funny side to his little game. You utter twonk. 0 dishonest for you, pal, this Halloween. You absolute numpty. And on that note, dear groaners, we hope you have a spectacular Halloween, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.